So if you ever had problems with understanding how layers work, well, maybe this metaphor will help you.
This video is brought to you by OppiPies Academy.
So think of the layers as your clothing. Like the outer layer of your clothing would actually be the top layer in your layers panel, and the outer layer of your clothing is actually the one that you can see in the mirror, or other people can see on you, right? They can't see what's beneath your, let's say, your coat, your jacket, or your blouse, but they can see they can see your outer layer of your clothing. And it's the same with layers inside Photoshop. Let's consider this orange class project layer right here as your outer layer of your clothing, and this is why it's being shown on top. Well, right now it's not covering the whole image because it's smaller simply than the layer that's beneath it, the background layer, but as you can see, it's being displayed on top of the layer that is beneath it, and it's covering the underlying layer. So it's just like our coat. Let's assume that the orange is our coat and the background layer is our t-shirt, for instance. So I hope that this metaphor actually helps you, that when you look at your layers, maybe think about layers of your clothing, you will think that the top layer is actually kind of like your top layer of your clothing, and it's actually the one that is being on top and that's being visible right now. Okay, so let me just delete this layer. And by the way, the quickest way to delete a layer is by pressing the backspace key like so. And notice that whenever you open an image, you will get this background layer with a padlock being displayed right here. And it's just Photoshop's way of making sure that you won't accidentally damage your layer. That's why it's being automatically locked right here. So I think that the first thing whenever you open an image would be to duplicate your background layer. And actually there's a few ways of doing that. We could actually click and drag it to this little icon right here, which is actually the new layer icon, and by dragging a layer to this icon, we're actually going to duplicate a layer just like so. Or, which is even faster, we could simply use the Ctrl-J or Command-J shortcut on our keyboard. So if I'm just gonna press Ctrl-J, you can see that I'm actually creating lots and lots of copies of my background layer. And by the way, it's the same as going to the Layer menu, New, Layer via copy, and you can see this shortcut being displayed right here. But of course, I don't need these many layers right here. So the quickest way to delete or to remove multiple layers is simply by selecting the ones that you want to delete. So you can either simply click on one and then maybe shift click on the other one to select like a group of layers. Or you can simply press 1 and then hold down the Control key or Command if you're on a Mac and select only the layers that you want to delete. But since I want to delete almost all of them, I'm simply going to click on the background copy number 2, then on the background copy number 15 and press the backspace key just like so. And by the way, since we are talking about the layers, I think it's a good time to quickly go back to the foreground and background colors right here. So if you haven't had enough of shortcuts, of handy shortcuts, here are some more for you. So let's say that we want to fill the background with a solid color. And let's say that we want to fill it with black. We could of course go let me just go to the paint bucket tool that sits right here, or we could use some handy professional shortcuts, which in this case would be the Alt backspace or Option backspace or Control or Command backspace to either fill your layer with the foreground or background color. So if I now just press the Alt backspace on my keyboard, well, you can see that this layer thumbnail has changed and it's showing me just the black color, but we can't see the background being black because our outer layer, our top layer, our coat or our jacket is actually hiding what's beneath. It's not showing our black t-shirt. So if I just turn the visibility of this background copy layer, you can see that we actually filled the entire layer with our foreground color. And if I now just press Control or Command if you're on a Mac backspace, I'm going to fill it with the background color, which is the white in this case. So if I now just change the black color to maybe say this blue color and now press the Alt backspace, I'm going to fill my entire canvas, entire layer with that foreground color just like so. So it's Control backspace for foreground color, Alt backspace for foreground color, and Control backspace or Command for the background color. So let me just print that background copy back just like so. And now, since we have our background copy, we have the copy of our fish, you can see that it's not being locked. Well, we could lock it if you wanted to, but now we can actually do some things about it. We can actually start transforming our images. And this is something that we are going to be doing in the next video.